We are right in the middle of the Future of Free Cities conference, and we're having a conversation with Fred Foldvary. He is the author of Public Goods and Private Communities and the Dictionary of Free Market Economics. And how is it that contractual and private communities are different from those communities that we see each other, like townships or villages or counties?
Yeah, there's two main differences. One is that these private communities are established by contract. They have an explicit contract. So that means a new member will read the contract, understand it, and sign it. So it's an explicit agreement. Because when somebody moves into an ordinary city, I don't think there's any moral contract there. You don't agree unless you agree psychologically. The second is that in a private community, everybody is a legal equal. The board of directors of a condominium, they are selected by the members, but legally, they have an equal legal status to the membership. There's no sovereign immunity. You can sue them if they don't follow the agreements. Whereas in a city or a state or a country, the government has immunity. They can only be sued with their permission. And so this equal legal status and the explicit contract is what makes, say, a condominium or residential association or cooperative different from an imposed government.
So what about Rousseau's social contract? Isn't that a contract?
No, it's not a contract. It's not a contract unless you explicitly agree. Because what if, you have a large community or a country, many people will have disagreements. And so how can there be a social contract when you have many different viewpoints, even cultures, different groups with different ideas, different religions.
So this idea of private communities require homogeneity?
No. They usually within a private community there can be homogeneity, but among communities they can all have different values. Just like we have different churches with different religions, So we don't have homogeneity in religion, but within a particular church, like a Catholic church, they'll all be Catholic.
And what is the downside?
Oh, it can vary. And you can have a large town. I've studied communities that are as big as, say, 100,000 people. And in China, many of the new developments there are private communities with hundreds of thousands of people. So you can have a large community, say 100,000 people, but it should best be decentralized, and that's often what they do. 100,000 people will be decentralized into 10 sub-communities, and they themselves can be decentralized. You can have a hierarchy of communities so that the local things are done locally, and then things that are of broader interest are done by the higher community.
What are the usual objections that you hear when you talk about this with people?
Some people think of private communities as gated communities. They have a wall and a gate, and so it's for the elite, for the privileged, for richer people. But there are, most private communities, like condominiums and residential associations in the United States that I'm more familiar with, they don't have gates, they don't have walls. And now, in St. Louis is an interesting case because a neighborhood in St. Louis can privatize. The laws of St. Louis allow a neighborhood to privatize the street. They then control and maintain the street. And they often close one end to have better control and less crime. But the other end will be accessible by anybody, right? So I think this charge of elitism doesn't hold generally and doesn't have to hold. And there would be more middle class and poor people in private communities if the law allowed them to privatize and create their own association.
Well, thank you very much for sharing these ideas with us.
Welcome.
And thank you too,
You're
very
welcome.
much.